Welcome to the Power of the Tribe. And so, my guest today, we are talking about a woman trusting herself and relying on her courage and power. We're talking about forgiveness. We're talking about once in a lifetime love. It's just a fascinating story, and I had to share with you guys. So today, my guest is Rhonda Sher. And originally, Rhonda and I are working on a LinkedIn summit that we're getting to bring to you, which will be coming out April 1st through the 7th. And then along interviewing Rhonda, she says to me, I've divorced after 20 something years of marriage. And then here's the kicker. 6 years later, she marries the same guy again. I had to find out more. So, Rhonda, tell us your story.
Thanks, Maureen. Well, it's actually a really cool story. It's really a story of inspiration. It's a story of just giving people real hope. I was married for 28 years, and I have two amazing girls. They're 28 and 30, my daughters. And, when I got married, I thought, well, this is it. This is forever. You never think that it's not going to be that way. And, life just kind of happens. And so after 28 years, life just kind of happened in terms of I was a menopausal crazy, take full responsibility for that. My mom had passed away. My kids were empty nesting. All my husband really wanted was peace and quiet. And that was not happening, at least not with me. So we had a very amicable divorce. And there I was for the first time in my life living alone, never lived alone, had graduated from college, moved in with roommates, and then got married. And so, those skills that my daughters have, the ability to live on their own, and I never had any of that. I didn't have to. And also, I had to figure out a way that I was going to go make money as well. For a good period of that time, my husband was very generous, helped me get back on my feet with spousal support. And then, it was time to actually step out on my own. And I had been in a 3-year relationship, gotten engaged, and my husband was in a 3-year relationship. And, during that time, I realized that, all the lessons that I really needed to learn in life were showing up, and they weren't always pleasant. I like to talk about the time that I was divorced as the gift that was wrapped in sandpaper. So I'll never forget, I was actually sitting in my therapist's office. This was in January of 2015. And I was engaged to somebody else. And I said to my therapist, I said, if I had a magic wand, I would really want to be married to Bob again. And she looked at me and she said, Rhonda, you're engaged to somebody else. You really need to get your life in order. You need to get your business together, stand on your own 2 feet financially, and just, be in the present. And I really took that to heart. And I created a business. I literally reached out to my community, realized that the speaking business was not exactly flourishing back then. This was when, everybody was short selling their houses, including me. And it was a tough time back in 2010, 2009. And so I got my life insurance license. And what I did was I used LinkedIn to reach out to all of the mortgage people because I knew they had my market. And literally within 6 weeks, I was making $6,000, which is what I needed to make every month just to live. Remember, San Diego is an expensive town.
Yeah.
And I wasn't giving up the hair or the nails. Okay, I had my priorities, right? I say that jokingly, but the truth is that I was able to use LinkedIn as a springboard to generate a 6-figure income. But what I really got clear on, and this was really interesting, was that the relationship I was in was not my happily ever after. And I actually did a vision board and it said happily ever now.
I like
So after that meeting with my amazing therapist, I called my husband. We had a friendly divorce, and I said to him, just for giggles, I said, just for giggles, if I was not in a relationship and you were not in a relationship, would you date me? And his answer was, no effing way. And I was like, okay, well, as I would have said to my kids, thanks for asking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just really never let that in a way of, believing that was a final answer, because I knew I still loved him. So during the time that we were divorced, it was kind of interesting. I was dating a guy. This was not the guy I got engaged to, but I was dating a guy for a while, and I wanted to find some couple friends, and nobody would let us into any of their meetup groups because we weren't married, we weren't living together. So I thought, well, okay, if they're not going to let me in, I'm going to start one. So I started a meetup group for fun couples in their 50s in North County, San Diego. And I grew that group from our first meeting of 6 couples to 80 couples.
Wow.
Okay, 80. And what happened was the guy that I had started the group with basically didn't really do a whole lot to help or contribute. So when we broke up, I said, okay, well, this is my group. And, if you find yourself another girlfriend, you can't come back into this group. So have a nice life. And then the group, because these were really this was my tribe. This was my community. And they were having a night at the Oscars. It was just at someone's house, and I needed a date. So I called my ex-husband and I said, hey, would you come just be my date, just as friend, just come. So he came, and unbeknownst to me, met my girlfriend's boyfriend, who's now her husband, who was very involved in the Landmark Forum. Now, the Landmark Forum is personal development, which is the last thing my husband would have ever done. I was the one who did all that stuff, not Landmark, but all that stuff. And he ended up meeting this guy and going through the forum and then doing some other courses. And when I saw my husband several months later, it was probably 9 months later, I said, who are you? And what did you do with Bob? Like, he had lost all this weight. He was just totally different. And he said, I told you I did the forum. He said, if you want to do it, I'll pay for it. And I thought, well, if this could do that for him, imagine what it could do for me. So I took the Landmark Forum, and then I took some other courses. And what I really found in that was a community. I learned that I could live in the world of possibility, and there were friends, and I had created community for myself. So in January of 2015, that was when I kind of had that realization. And I broke up with the guy that I was engaged to in April. And I had no idea what was on the other side of that. I mean, literally, I thought, I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was, it was like starting all over again. And I just, again, had this trust that everything was going to turn out. And, going back with my husband was not a possibility. He had been very clear about that. And so he invited me to an event. One of the offshoot courses in Landmark is called Wisdom. And they have what they used to call Community Sundays. So he invited me to a Community Sunday. And at that Community Sunday, you get to introduce your guest. But when you do that, you say who they are to you. You don't introduce them to the room. And he said, we went to breakfast that morning. So this was Mother's Day. The kids had plans. So we went to breakfast. And I said, oh, by the way, I got to tell you, I broke up with so-and-so. And he said, oh, so did I. And I was like, okay. So we went to the community day, and he's not somebody that likes to talk at these things. That's the other thing that was kind of interesting. So introducing your guest was pretty optional. And when he introduced me, he said, you're my ex-wife, but you've always been my wife, and I've always loved you. And the next thing you know, he's crying, I'm crying, and 200 people in the room were crying. And he said, maybe we should try this again. And I said, only if we get married. He said, well, that's the only way I would do it. And so we dated for about 6 months. And the happy end to the story is that in February of 2016, we remarried. And we did it in Vegas with Elvis. We live streamed it. And, I jokingly say I have a husband, didn't have to change my name, and the kids are ours. But the truth is that our life is amazing. We really are living the dreams that we had when we were very young. And I think the biggest message that I would say to people is, never let go of your dreams. Always know that the power of gratitude, the power of vision boards, the power of a tribe can get you whatever you want. And we've inspired so many people. And I really don't think that we would have the amazing marriage that we have had we not had that separation. I think of it as the gift that came wrapped in sandpaper. Mm. So that's the amazing love story. And we live streamed it from Vegas with Elvis. One of my daughters came to the wedding. And it was really, truly probably one of the toughest times and the biggest gift I think I've ever received.
Yeah, I love that because, so much of the creation of the power of the tribe is about when a woman loses her tribe and she loses her shine. But when we come together, we shine brighter. And it's often these times of whether it's divorce, whether you're coming back from pregnancy, whether you're just moving, that a woman loses her tribe, and that it's this recreation or being able to finally focus on your needs as a woman, which are usually the last thing because we're the caregivers, and we do that with great joy and pride. And you got to get to know yourself again and also live in possibility and love and allow that to come back in a new and a brighter and better form. I love that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not how you ever plan it. And I guess I just am so grateful because I'm truly married to the love of my life. I couldn't be more proud of our daughters. They're just amazing individuals. And I think what it forced me to do as well is find a way to stand on my own 2 feet, in so many ways. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for having a tribe, friends and a great life coach along the way and some great therapists and, just amazing supportive people and knowing to ask for help. That's the other thing. Most people don't ask, and it could be a very lonely place to be in that position, and the other thing too that I would say to women is, because I met a lot of them that, they just think, well, dating is too much trouble. Mm-hmm. And it's too hard. And, we all live in the world of sales, right? We're all in sales, and we've heard the expression sales is a numbers game. Well, sometimes, finding your true love, even if it takes you full circle, all the way back to where you started, it's still a numbers game. You got to go through a lot of people.
I love it. And thanks for coming and sharing because there's just so much inspiration in your story and who you are. And so the little backstory with Rhonda and I, we met on LinkedIn. And she's an absolute LinkedIn guru. And we're getting to put together a summit that's going to start April 1st through the 7th about having 6 specialists come in and truly give us all the different powerful tools and being able to put your branding and the right profile together to attract the clients and or even possible new employers and really bringing your success full to light and fruition. And so, Rhonda, being that LinkedIn guru, can you give us a little hint as to what they can expect from you at the summit and again, leading through generosity? I so appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that I talk about with LinkedIn is it's a platform for service, not for sales. Do sales happen? Absolutely. But they happen through the relationships of the people that we meet and we connect with. So I created a program called the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. And the first one is presentation. How are you showing up? And, it's kind of funny because you see these people on LinkedIn that are so qualified. They're just amazing. They're superstars, right? But when you look at their profile, they're in what I call witness protection. Their best kept secret. So I talk about how to, really present yourself. How are you showing up? And starting from everything from, your banner to your headline, all the way through the profile. And then the second step is the prospecting. And that's really the relationships. That's really creating relationships with people. So it's finding new relationships, but it's also cultivating your tribe of people that you're already connected to. I mean, think about how many first level connections you have and how you've never had a conversation with them. So I talk about how to reconnect to that tribe of people and how to create a relationship with those new people. And then third is profit. So how do you make money from LinkedIn? Well, that comes from the relationships. When people know you, like you, trust you, they're going to refer you. And then they're going to say, my favorite question, how do I work with you? So I'm not soliciting them. I'm waiting for them to say, how do I work with you? Right. And then you just, you pause for dignity for a couple seconds and you say, oh, I'm so glad you asked. And then you tell them how you can work with them. So it's really, learning about how to present yourself, how to interact, how to prospect. And then finally, where's the money? How do you profit? And in the world that we're living in right now, Maureen, people need to know how to leverage LinkedIn because it's going to be a while before we're back at live events.
Yeah. And I'm very grateful for our alliance and also grateful that we're getting to do this. It's going to be very powerful and it's going to be very effective, and it's the right time for this too. So we're getting out of fear, and we're standing in our leadership, and we're doing something about it. So so I again thank you for sharing your story. I couldn't wait to get it out there. So it's just so full of inspiration. And okay, so again, look for the LinkedIn training where this will be coming through. The promo period starts actually with this piece. And we're going to have a lot of fun. And it's going to be really, really powerful and give you the information to get your profile and your branding and your best face forward in LinkedIn. Rhonda, last words?
Last words. Be yourself, find your tribe, and remember, if you're not LinkedIn, you might be left out.
Thank you so much. All right. See you soon.
Okay. Bye for now.